Hey everyone, Justin Lamb here with ScreenJunkies News. It was announced this week that Mr. Lin Manuel Miranda has been brought on as a creative producer for Lionsgate's adaptation of Patrick Rothfuss's The Kingkiller Chronicle, and with me here to celebrate is Miss Erica Ishii.
Hello, Justin!
So this is cause for celebration, correct?
Very much so, I'd say.
Well, I have a confession to make. I am a huge fan of fantasy literature, but this is one series that I've not yet dived into, although almost everybody that I know highly recommends it. So why should we be excited? What's all the fuss about here?
Let me break it down for you in terms that a fantasy fan can understand.
Please
all right?
do.
So I'd say it's about 2 parts Harry Potter, 1 part Lord of the Rings, and a healthy dash of Song of Ice and Fire, though it is very much its own thing.
Wow, that's a remarkable recipe that you're setting up there. I'm going to say that you're raising my expectations a bit. I mean, all amazing franchises, amazing stories, but it's its own thing. So what sets it apart from these really well-established franchises?
So it's in very much its own world. There's a very rich world that is built around it, and it follows the story of Quoth, who is a young man, and he starts out as an orphan, living in the streets
Sounding
and in
familiar.
the woods. Yeah,
Traditional orphan.
And then he goes to a magic university.
Okay,
and
all
in
right.
that magic university, he is mentored by a wise wizard, Master Eladin. You can think Gandalf or Dumbledore, but a lot of Fizban, the wizard from Dragonlance, if you may be familiar
Yes,
with
very
that.
familiar with the Dragonlance saga from Chronicles, the original trilogy there, sort of analogous to there in that I'm assuming he's kind
very
of
eccentric. Very eccentric.
All right.
And he befriends a young woman named Ori who lives in the underground of the school, and she helps him in his quest to find information. He falls in love with this young, aloof, mysterious woman named Denna.
Ooh.
Yeah, love interest there.
All right.
And then also, while he's at the university, he undertakes a lot of really interesting side quests. Things like he learns mercenary skills and the philosophy of the Ademre, who are a group of mercenaries, and he learns what I call sexomancy from Felurian of the Fae.
Which Fae, so I'm assuming that's like little people, fairy people.
Yeah, there is the realm of the fairies in this
Okay.
book, play a big part in it. And all of it is interwoven with the present day narrative, so it's a couple years after he's made a name for himself, and he's living incognito. He's running an inn with the help of his assistant Bast, who is, spoiler alert, secretly a prince of the Fae.
Wow, so this sounds super dense. And now I know 2 books have come out already, Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear. We're waiting on the 3rd book. But I'm a little curious because you mentioned present day. Are we looking at sort of like, is it a, spoiler alert, Westworld multiple timeline situation here?
As far as we know, yes. And it's more that it's like Princess Bride sandwiched between the story is sandwiched between the present day, and he's telling all of his stories to a traveling scribe, chronicler, who over the course of 3 days, and those 3 days of stories correspond to each book in the trilogy.
Oh, wow, so each book is a day of stories from his life.
That's right.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right. This sounds like an amazing opportunity for them in terms of storytelling. Now, I'm curious, obviously it sounds like there's a lot of magic here, and from what I've heard, recommendations from friends and in our discussions, the magic system in this world is fairly diverse, but also kind of complicated.
Oh, it's fascinating. This is one thing that I absolutely love about the book is the way that it handles magic. So the arcane magic that they can learn from the school, there's a couple of different types. You've got the most often used, which is sympathy, which I like to explain as a cross between thermodynamics and voodoo.
I almost actually minored in that at college.
Yeah, were you like Santa Cruz and create your own
I did,
major?
yeah. It's very flexible. You create your own program, and then I switched to English at the last second.
You missed out
should've
because
stuck.
sympathy is really, really cool. They explain a lot of it, like you need to manipulate matter with your will. Sigildry, which is using runes and metalwork in order to create magic. magic.
Okay.
There's your classic alchemy, which is, equivalent exchange.
Right. For anyone who doesn't know, is like very, very basic example is like we're turning lead into gold through the process of exchange.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And finally, the most mysterious magic, which is naming. So if you know something and call it by its true name, you could manipulate it. Say the name of the wind.
I detect that perhaps there is a spell involving naming the wind and invoking need of the wind.
That's right. So Master Eladin, who is the master of naming, so he knows this very intriguing, mysterious type of magic, and Quoth really wants to learn it.
Oh, so I have to ask the most obvious question here for anybody such as myself, a little less familiar with this franchise. Why was Lin Manuel Miranda such a necessary get for this project? Where does he fit in here?
So music is inextricably woven into the fabric of this world.
Okay.
So not only in Quoth's story, it is literally plot within the story. So Quoth's family was a troupe of traveling performers, the Edema Ra, and his father was researching lore for his ballad that he was writing, and that's what got him killed, because he was looking into the Chandrian, which are these like mythical boogeyman, and he wanted to make a song about them, but his research got him killed. So
I think that's a classic country song, Don't Go Chasing Mythical Boogeymen.
yeah,
It's like you can't. There's nothing good comes out of going down that path.
It's the path to destruction.
So Lin, it sounds like, is going to be heavily involved
Yeah.
in sort of every facet of storytelling here. He himself, I read, huge fan. He's, he mentioned in one article that there were parts of Hamilton that he felt in terms of story were analogous to Quoth's journey itself.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you this.
Oh my
I could
gosh.
write a whole paper about this, but Quoth is an arrogant young man, and there's a song in Hamilton, he says he writes his way out. He writes his way out of a lot of his problems, and so too does Quoth. For instance, he uses his music in order to help him pay tuition at the magic school. He uses it to help him escape from the realm of the Fae.
It's all sounding very familiar.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all coming together now. And of course, we also know that Lindsay Beer is going to be working on the project adapting it, who was one of the writers on Transformers The Last Night, which thematically a little similar here, based on
medieval
our knowledge there.
And most importantly, she's on Dungeons and Dragons.
Excellent. I mean, I can say I feel as though having our hands in those things that thematically are very similar, that this franchise seems like already it's in really good hands. How are you feeling? You excited?
I am so excited that, I'm trying to mash this whole beautiful world of lore into like these couple of minutes that we have to talk about it. I really, really love this franchise so much, and I think it's going to be so great. We've got a movie coming,
right.
We've got a TV series,
right.
And we've got possibly a video game, which I think is going to be great.
And the good news is, even though you've only got a few minutes here, they're going to be able to really take their time with this story, because in addition to the 2 books, there's supplemental material that I know he's written in a couple of short story collections, almost sort of novella-esque additions to the story. He's really fleshed it out.
Yeah, that's right. We've got The Slow Regard of Silent Things, which follows Ori, the young woman in the school. There's the lightning tree and how old Holly came to be. And so, it's just a very rich world with a lot of stories to be told in it.
I'm excited. Real quick, curious, if you had to, Koth, lead character, redhead, known for that shock, who would you cast?
A lot of people on the internet have been saying Eddie Redmayne or Domhnall Gleeson. It's hard because they're both associated very strongly with sci-fi and fantasy projects.
Right.
I would really like for them to go with an unknown. And keep in mind, there's the 16-year-old Quoth and the 25, 26-year-old Quoth.
Right.
So maybe 2 actors, unless you get an actor who's just really good at playing those 2 age ranges.
Right.
For some reason, something about this says to me Thomas Brody Sangster.
Oh, yeah, from Game of Thrones and
Game of
Love
Thrones
Actually.
And Love Actually.
That's a heck of a resume there.
Yeah, and so we know he can handle sort of serious fantasy. He has kind of an assuredness.
Certainly.
And a gravity to him, but a very young face. He's still playing teenagers, and I think he would fit really well. We just got to dye his hair red.
Which I'm sure we can work up a box of hair dye pretty quickly. Erica, thank you so much for being with us today. Questions for you guys. How excited are you for this adaptation? Who would you like to see? Let us know in the comments down below. Tweet us at SJ News. Don't forget, you can always check out more SJ News videos right over here And we'll see you next time.